All right, I am starting the timer now. I'm giving myself 8 minutes. 8 minutes, that is it to talk about being a travel advisor and everything that comes with it. So, 8 minutes starting now. Hey, what's going on, everybody? It is CJ. It is Tuesday afternoon. You can see I'm out in my lovely backyard here just outside of Nashville. And I wanted to make a video about being a travel advisor. Okay. For those of you who don't know, and it's probably most of you because I don't think I've told very many people, I am an independent travel agent or travel advisor almost a year now. You're really about, let's say, a year ago, I started thinking about what's going to be my next step. What am I going to do past corporate America? My time was winding down with my company. Was there for almost 25 years, and so it was time for me to kind of think about the next phase. My wife and I own a business here locally in the Nashville area, but really the business is my wife's thing. She's the face of the business, so really it's her thing. I love helping out. Obviously, I'm passionate about that business as well, but I wanted something that was mine. What am I going to do for the next 10, 15, 20 years? And so as I thought about it, one of the criteria, of course, was flexibility. I wanted something that I could control and that I could do really from anywhere. And I also wanted to do something I was passionate about. And so I kept coming back to travel. I love traveling. And by that time, I had been bitten by the cruise bug. And so I love cruising. And so I said, well, let me look at travel agents. Do they still exist? Are they still around? What's the deal? Turns out they are. Travel agencies actually are still thriving here in 2024. And so I set about looking for what's called a host agency. Who was I going to work in some ways underneath? I'm independent, I have my own business, but who am I going to kind of sit underneath, get the training, get everything that I need to really understand what I'm doing in the travel business? And so I chose a company called Outside Agents. You can look around. They are a reputable company, very knowledgeable. I've had nothing but great dealings with them. And they've got an awesome, awesome amount of training that you can do. Whether it be live training, they run several of those throughout the year that you can travel to and really get that kind of in person training. But they also have tons and tons of training you can do online. And for me, I really felt like, you know what, I need to figure out what's my niche, what's my specialty. And then I kept again coming back to what am I passionate about? For me, that's all inclusive resorts. I love those. And then, of course, cruises. They have a tremendous portfolio of training on all inclusives and, of course, cruise lines. I've got tons of certifications on those. They also kind of led me into I did some training for Sandals and Beaches. Shout out to them. Went to Beaches last year. It was phenomenal. Hopefully, we'll have some videos on that with my daughter. But in the course of that, did a certification for autism training for travel and that sort of thing because I'm passionate about that as well. I have two children that have autism. It's near and dear to my heart. We travel with our kids. We always have. But it is a challenge. Definitely going to put a series out about that because I know there's a lot of families out there who are hesitant to travel with their kids just because of really other people looking crazy and just the fear factor that comes with it. But in a nutshell, that's the reason why I became a travel agent. I really believe in it. Do you need to have a travel agent when you travel? I'd say really there's two reasons to have a travel agent. Number one, are you just the type of person who doesn't want to deal with all the hassle of travel? Do you not want to look up things? Do you not want to have to deal with the vendors or searching or pricing or whatever? Okay, if you want just a hassle free experience, then use a travel agent. That's what the travel agents do. They're the ones that deal with the vendors and the pricing. And you book a cruise, but maybe it went down, and now the travel agent's trying to, get you that better deal. So that's one reason to use a travel agent. But for me, really, probably the other reason, and one that people don't necessarily think about, is just the unknowns of travel. Okay. Um, I'll use ourselves as an example. Our first cruise was on MSC Cruises. We had never done a cruise before. We had no idea about cruising. Of course, I did some research on the front end about cruising, but obviously not enough because we booked 2 rooms. One was their yacht club experience, and then one was a room outside of the yacht club. Well, that probably wasn't ideal because, of course, we wanted to spend time together. But when you're in the yacht club, there's certain things that you have privileges to that you don't have when you're outside of the yacht club. So half of us could do the privileges and half of us couldn't, and that was just a whole mess. It just wasn't the experience that it could have been if we would have had a travel agent that said, "Hey, look, I know you're saying that you want to do this yacht club. If you're going to do that, you should probably have both rooms in, or not have a room in, or just at least gave us the options and the information." And so that's just a perfect example as to where a travel agent would have come in handy. And then there's just other things about cruising that we had no idea about. Check-in times and muster drills and figuring out the lay of the ship and what rooms are best and all types of stuff. Okay, that having somebody to kind of help us through that would have been beneficial. A trip outside of the U.S. There's all sorts of things that people maybe aren't thinking of that a travel agent, just based on experience, based on their knowledge, would know. Okay, time's ticking down, so let me get to the last question that I know a lot of people have. Well, if I use a travel agent or travel advisor, it's going to be more expensive. That's just not true. Okay, travel agents or travel advisors, they get paid by the vendor. Okay, not by the client that they're helping. So again, let's use MSC. If you go on MSC's website and book a cruise, you're going to pay a price. You go to a travel agent or a travel advisor and they book a cruise for you, it's going to be the same price as that MSC website. Okay, no difference. All that's happening if you book it through MSC is the amount of money they would have given as basically a commission to the travel advisor, they're keeping. You're not getting that commission, they're keeping it. And in fact, a lot of times if you book with a travel agent or a travel advisor, especially in the cruise world, you may get a better deal because they may have booked out a whole block of rooms called like a group booking maybe 2 years ago. Okay, so let's use Icon of the Seas as an example. Everybody wants to get on Icon. Well, a lot of travel companies a couple years ago booked out a bunch of rooms at that old 2-year-old pricing. Well, now that price is a lot more money. So people are getting a better deal going through some of these travel advisors for that. Okay, so again, you're not paying more money. If you got other questions or concerns, or just you want more information about maybe becoming a travel agent or whatever, certainly you can reach out. If you want to know more about just my experience as a travel agent, go ahead and shoot some questions down in the comments. But I appreciate you guys taking this time. I did a good job of being as concise as I could. And we will see you guys tomorrow because I will be back on here Wednesday.